One of the interesting things that I'm sitting here between you two is, George, you love your 7000.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy was telling me earlier he kind of leans more towards the 7100.
Well, I guess that's probably why we picked out these spots at the table here.
Yeah, I ran straight to get this on.
This is my 7000. I pulled it out of the truck just for this shoot today. And we're going to have a shootout, aren't we?
I wouldn't say a shootout. Now we're going to see as a mobile transceiver that both of them will have their unique installations. And just like you two guys do amateur logic, you're going to have differences of opinions.
Yeah. I really love this one right here. I like that color display that's on it. That, really catches my eye. But, I have a external monitor. Since you can, you've got a video out on this, you can plug it into a composite monitor. So I have a little monitor sitting up on my dashboard. The radio's sitting down here low where I don't even have to take my arm off the armrest to spin the VFO, but I can look straight ahead, and my heads-up display is sitting right there. I really like that about this radio.
Okay, we can see which way you're leaning towards.
Yeah.
Well, I actually like this radio. I haven't used that one, but I have played around with this one, and I like the ease of use. I like the touch screen. I like the fact that it's got D-Star built in, of course.
Yeah, that's one thing that it does have that the 7000 doesn't have.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So it, like I said, I think by the time we go through it, it's going to have people leaning either way, but the final outcome is going to be they're both great radios.
Well, I'm very interested to see myself because I haven't used the 7000. I know a lot of people rave over it. It's a great radio. So I'm actually kind of interested myself to see some of the features of it.
There you go.
Let's take a closer look. So what are we going to do here, Ray?
It's going to be kind of radio Olympics here.
All right.
We're going to compare the 7000 and the 7100 with you using one that you've played around with for quite some time, and this one's a little new to you, isn't it?
Yeah, I've only played around with it once.
That doesn't give me an unfair advantage, does it?
The Radio Olympics, so you're going to get a lot tireder than I am because all I got to do is just touch.
Yeah.
Oh, he's been reading the manual.
Oh, yeah.
That might be cheating there.
Yeah, I never read the manual. I just started using it.
Excellent.
Yeah. And pretty much you could do the same thing with the other one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's very intuitive to use.
Yeah.
I mean, there are menus to it, but when you look at how few knobs you've got on your 7000 compared to your 7700.
Yeah.
It changes. The dynamics really change when you start removing knobs.
But the menus are easy enough to get to on here, a lot better than some other mobile HF radios I've used.
Well, I've joked around with people who said that the menus were difficult, that if they come and work the date and hamvention, we give them a manual in one hand and the other hand is to program the radio, that's our quick start, our quick start course.
Mm-hmm. All right, what do we want to do first then? You're the master of ceremonies here, or the referee. If we get in a fight, you just break us up.
I don't know. I don't think so. I've seen you guys do too many things that would be pretty stressful, and you guys just laugh it off. So what we're going to do is we're going to change bands, change modes, and then go through some of the menu settings that you would set up each of the radios.
Okay. All right. Makes sense.
Because on the 7100, there's a few things that we've done dynamically with a combination of buttons and the knob controls, where on the 7000 you have to go into menus to get to.
Okay. Now, did you bring your whistle and stopwatch?
No, sir, I did not.
Well, I'll keep time.
There you go. Watch him closely.
Always do.
The first thing that we're going to do is we're at 3862. We're going to go to 2 meters.
To change bands on the 7000, I've got a band up and a band down button here. I'll just go over to the band up and I'll just hit it until I get up to 2 meters. And there we go.
Well, I don't have a band button, but I have a frequency. Let me touch that and let's see what happens.
Okay.
Very good.
That was easy enough, but it's not working over here.
No, sir, it's not.
Maybe you need to push harder.
What do we want to do next, Ray? It looks like we both passed that.
Let's change modes. Let's toggle through your modes that you have available on 2 meter.
Well, I just go to the mode button right here at the top, and I'll just click it. I got USB, I've got CW, RIDI, FM, and back to USB.
Okay, and Tommy?
Well, again, I don't have a mode button, but I bet you there's a mode right there. Oh, sideband, CW, RIDI, FM, DV. That's where I'm going.
I don't have a DV over here either, Tommy. This is not fair, Ray.
Well, this is one of the enhancements that the 7100 has over the 7000. Is D-Star is built into the 7100.
So it's not an option, it just comes with it.
It comes with it. While D-Star was on the market when the 7000 was released, the level of interest in D-Star just wasn't to that point to incorporate it into the radio. Okay. So it was not in the 7000.
Well, Tommy's a big D-Star guy, so that's good. He can have D-Star.
All right, so I'm on D-Star on 145 megahertz.
I can't hear you over here, Tommy.
Now, there is one thing, Tommy. George right now is on the screen that shows every bit of information when you transmit. It'll show compression, the ALC, as well as the temperature. The 7100 has that capability as well. You've already got the great ideas on how to get it. You just change it to ALC.
Oh, cool.
Now push and hold it.
Oh, nice. Everything. Can you go down? Now, that's pretty slick right there. SWR.
So you've got everything down this edge.
You got SWR over there?
I have SWR.
SWR, compression, ALC.
My compressor, I'm not running any compression, and I've got my ALC, and I've got a power meter over here too.
Yeah.
Now there's a couple of additional things that you have on yours. You've got your voltage, your temperature, which is the same as the 7000, but you also have your current.
Oh, cool. Oh, nice.
Yeah, voltage and current, that's nice.
Yeah.
Now here's going to be a challenge. You want to set up your microphone audio on the radio.
Okay, to set up the audio, I think I need to go into the menus. If I push the menu button once, it gets me into a set of menus here. Now, transmit audio or receive audio do we want to work with?
Transmit audio.
Transmit audio. Well, I've got the compressor right here, and I've got the Vox, and I've got transmit bandwidth.
Okay.
So I can get to all my transmit audios.
Go ahead and tweak your transmit bandwidth there.
Okay, well, I just hit the button. As I hold it down, I'm going between narrow or wide or mid. So I can set that to wherever I like it.
Okay. But there's also another part where you set your highs and lows for your roll-off.
I want to set my upper and lower frequencies on my transmit audio here. So I'll hit the button up here to go to set mode. Then I'll press the QS button. And I've got several options through here. I can scroll up and down through the different ones there. I've got mic gain. Or right here it's showing I'm on single sideband. Transmit bandwidth is wide, and I'm looking at the lower frequency, which is 100. I can scroll that up and go as high as 500.
And one of the interesting things, Bob Heil says that on the 7000 he's found a sweet spot. Do not go below 300 on the low end roll-off.
Really?
Yes.
I'll have to try that. I've been getting good reports just like it is, but I'll have to try that and see how that works out. And I'll press it one more time and it goes to menu number 4. And here I can set the high frequency. It's currently at 2900. I could roll that on back as low as 2500 when I'm on wideband here.
That's
I
correct.
assume these numbers are going to be different if I'm on narrow or mid.
Yes.
I'll have different cutoff frequencies I can use.
And if at any time you forget what the default is for it, that's what the DEF button's for.
Put you right back, so you don't worry so much about messing something up. You can always get back to the starting point.
Go back to the safe zone.
If I go to the main here, each time I push after that, I get a different set of menus. Here's one called filter, and I can hit right there. And actually, I can switch through the 3 different filters that I have set up in here, and each one is a different bandwidth. This one right here is 3.6 kilohertz wide. If I hit it again, I go to one I have set for 2.4, or for those times when there's somebody right next against you, I can drop on down to this one at 1.8K, and you can see I've used the twin passband tuning here, and I've tuned off just slightly to the side to notch out a signal that was bothering me the last time I was in this mode.
But we're on AM now. Wow, that.
Oh, what I did, yeah.
Oh, memory
I'm in
channels.
memory channels.
Okay.
It's almost like you've used that before.
I'll never tell.
But
Okay.
one of the nice things with that filter on any of the buttons here, let's go ahead and get out. On the filter, you momentarily push it, it changes and it will show you very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
If you use the passband tuning, you then get to see what you're doing momentarily. But if you push and hold, you go into the filter set mode.
And then it just stays there until you get what you want.
Now, one thing with making those adjustments, go ahead and really narrow it down, George. And there again, this will be on the 7100 as well. You've narrowed it down basically to a 0 filter.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to back it out just a tad to a 100 hertz filter. I've heard people comment to me that they hear some noise up and down the band. That filter's still out there wide. There's a difference between this 100 hertz filter like this, or we'll go to filter number 2, and then there's a difference between that filter and that filter. Which one do you think is tighter?
Well, I would think probably this one with the green, but I could be wrong. Which one is tighter?
You're right.
I am.
Yes. This is just shifting 2 filters that are 3.6 kilohertz wide. Mm-hmm. So you're going to hear the side activity.
Mm-hmm.
But if you switch over to this filter, you're not going to get as much of the side activity because that's a real sharp filter.
Okay.
Don't feel left out, Tommy. Yours does the same thing, but
Yeah.
you don't get the pretty colors that George has.
You know, I can't hear those colors at all, so it's not going to bother me.
Also with the filter, you can change it from sharp to soft.
Right, with this button right here. And soft means the edges wouldn't sound quite as rough. It'd be a little smoother, where sharp is just a real sharp passband.
It is
Might
a
hear
real
little
sharp.
ringing.
It is real sharp. It's more of a digital type filter, so you'll hear some artifacts. I wouldn't quite call it ringing, but when you go to soft, it's going to roll off the harsh edges, and it will have more of an audio characteristic of a crystal filter. But you still have a very tight filter. At a 2.4 at a -6, it's going to be around 2.0 at a -60, where regular crystal filter be around 1.8 or a little bit wider than that.
Yeah. So it really depends on the case of the interference at that point as to which filters you want to use then.
Right. Long time listening with headphones, I definitely recommend going to the soft filter, especially if you're working pileups or contesting with it.
Yeah.
And one thing to your benefit, the guys that went on the DXpedition BS7H, where they were on the wooden platforms on the rocks, they used 7000s.
They did. I worked that one.
Sorry, Tommy, no one's taken the 7100 yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Now, Tommy, let's change filters.
Okay.
Now, let's not change the settings, but just change the filter.
Okay. No, I'm in DV mode.
Let's go to sideband then.
Okay. Hey, I did it. Okay.
And you get to see the little graphic come up, just like what George saw, but not those pretty colors.
Right. That's okay. I'm okay without the colors. So it just toggles through preset filters.
Yes.
What happens if you hold it down? Okay, so then you can adjust them.
Now, while George had to push and hold his BW button, we've listened from customers that said that was a little archaic, especially if you're trying to drive. Don't recommend trying to do it while you're driving, but it really cuts down the amount of time that you're sitting on the side of the road to make the change.
Right.
The BW, you just tap, and now you turn the knob.
Oh, I see. We'll get them down there, won't it? 50. Nice. And I see we've got a default button as well, so we can go right back to where.
You push and hold the
Reset
default.
from
It wants to make sure you really want to do that.
Okay. Yeah, here's the confirmation beep there.
Now, like George's, you have your passband tuning. Now you can make the adjustments.
Okay. Well, that's easy enough.
The 7100 is going to look and feel a lot like the 7000 when you get into some of these settings. As we're showing on the 7000, you have the graphic display. It's a little bit easier to see on the 7100 because you have your memory channels, your scope, and your SWR. You can change the span by...
I see. It's you have to start it for sweeping?
Yes. And then you can change your steps on how wide it is.
Okay, 2K, 5K, 10K.
George, a couple more menu things that we want to compare here is going to be, really depends on what mode you're in on the 7000. We have a smart menu system, so the set mode changes based on the mode that you're operating on. Let's go to the QS.
All right, so my first menu choice here is RF power. I come down and I've got mic gain.
Right.
And of course below that I've got my transmit bandwidth. So if I'm on mic gain, it knows that I have a mic gain since I'm on lower sideband.
That's correct.
So if I change modes to CW,
you noticed it went to number 1, which is your RF power.
that must mean there's something different about this.
Yes, sir.
So I come down then and I've got key speed and CW pitch, side tone level.
Everything that has to do with CW is now in that menu setting. Now, if you hit the mode button one more time, you've got RTTY. Then it turns your twin peak filter, your mark in space.
Frequencies. Yeah. Now, let me ask you another question. I don't suspect this radio has this function, but I know on my 7700, and I also noticed this on the 7410, is that on both of those radios, they have RIDI decoder built into them.
Yes, sir.
Where you can actually read the RIDI right on the screen. And the 7700 also has PSK31 there, too.
Oh, cool.
Does either one of these radios decode RIDI, or is it a computer function?
Yes. Let's go to RTTY mode. Okay. And get out of your set mode here. And go to, I think it's your main menu. Okay, it's going to be your secondary menu. Okay, now toggle through it. There it is.
Decode.
Decode.
Wow. I never knew that was in this radio, Ray.
It just does RTTY. It does not do the PSK31. Now, one of the nice things about the RTTY, and this is because of the DSP technology, you're able to go into the set mode, and under the quick set, twin peak filter is off right now. When you turn it on, it puts an automatic peak filter over the mark in the space. So even in real noisy or weak signal environments, and this is on your 7700 as well, it will peak up those two frequency areas.
Wow.
And it is amazing the weak signals that you can pull out.
The 7100 is essentially the same as this one on the
Yes, it does.
function.
The menu here changes.
Because I'm in RIDI.
Right. Now if you go to a different mode,
Yeah.
FM, there's your DTMF.
Yeah. Lower sideband, it cuts that out. CW.
Go back to CW real quick. And this is something that's in both the 7100. When you go to your keyer, there's your memory keyer.
Ah, right here.
Yes.
Cool.
But unfortunately, you do not have one for voice.
Are you sure there's not one
I'm
for
not
voice
positive.
in here? I want to say I've seen a recorder.
I stand corrected.
Okay, I thought I had that in there. Cool. You know, I've never taken this rig out on a contest, but now, field day, this could be very handy.
Well, even driving down the road.
Well, true.
CQ, CQ, CQ. Shows how much it's hard to remember every radio that's out there.
Well, that's a lot of radios and a lot of features.
Yeah.
So, yep, you're right, George. You got your mic gain settings. You can name them. Tommy, there's something that Georgia 7000 will do that your 7100 will not do.
What's that?
So when you go to your manual notch filter, while they both have a 70 dB notch filter, George has two of them.
Two of them. Okay, you got one up on me.
Now the cool thing about the dual manual notch filter on the 7000, especially for the CW guys, you can find a sweet spot where you take one notch filter just below the signal that you want to get and the other one just above it. And you'll find a sweet spot because all of a sudden the noise goes away and the signal comes up. And you think that the band has come back, but once you turn those two things off and you hear it go back in the dirt, you'll realize the difference.
Yeah.
Now, maybe the DSP chipset that is used in the 7000 have that capability of the dual manual notch filters where the 32-bit DSP that we have in the 7100 does not. But both notch filters are 70 dB of attenuation, and that is a very sharp filter.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the nice things with them being incorporated into the DSP circuit, it takes it out of the AGC loop, which allows the S meter and the AGC to focus on your desired signal.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy, go ahead and show them the D-Star with the DR mode. You should be familiar with that from your 51.
Yeah. Well, I guess we gotta change.
Actually, go back to 80.
Okay, so we've got HF, DV, and I see a DR button here.
That was even faster.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
Now, with an external GPS connected to the 7100, and the reason we went external instead of using like the UT123 from the 2820 was a cost thing. Everybody says, oh, I already have a GPS in the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Any GPS device, whether it's an APRS type device, put in the NEMA output from that device into the 7100, you then can get the near repeater function.
Oh, nice. You know, even without that, the repeater directory is great anyway, because most of the time you know what's close by. But the GPS that's a great feature.
But do something like you do on your 51. How do you think you'll change your from? You could do that.
Oh, new repeater.
Since we don't have a GPS location.
Get the the list and southeast. I like that, being able to scroll through with a knob really fast like that.
George, this is some of the other things. With the GPS, you can tell it the setting of what you want to use. You can even do manual position.
Okay.
So if you got it as a base, you can put in your GPS.
You can put your coordinates in. You don't actually have to have a GPS hooked up to it.
Right.
Just in your location.
But you can see, this is where you look at your 4 pages. Your GPS position is where I am currently. My receive station, memory if they want to, and it's got our Osaka headquarters, so You can navigate to there. And then alarm if you get into a close proximity of a target area.
Cool. Yeah, I'll look at that on my handy talk for you a good bit. Wait, let's go back in there.
No, that's what you don't want to do. You don't want it to beacon. Ah, there we go.
Okay. Yeah, so this is where you set it so it'll work with DPRS.
Yes. I was going to say, we need to
see
talk
it.
to George. He's getting lonely over here. But he can do all of that with his 880 as well.
Yes.
But here's where you can set up for your S meter, your mode, speech, the speed. And now this is cool. You got this on your 51. Whether the alphabet is normal, or she'll go N9JA, or phonetically, November 9 Juliet Alpha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that.
But it's not going to give you your custom phonetics. Well, I think what we have here is a complete draw.
I think so, because I still love my 7000, that color display and the composite video out so that I can have my heads up monitor up there on the dash. I do see, though, one thing I kind of like about that 7100 over there, and Tommy probably knows what it is.
Oh, yeah, of course it's D-Star.
Yeah.
But that user interface,
Yeah, oh, the interface is great, man. It's so easy.
and that's one of the reasons why we kept both of them in a product line. Some want color, some it's not a big deal. The biggest thing is the cost would have been driven up to add the color to it. So the functionality and everything else was more important than just adding the color.
Yeah, both great rigs. I'm going to keep my 7000 a little longer. Maybe there's one of those in my future. I don't know yet. You know, this is satisfying me currently.
Yeah. Well, there may be one in my future, too. I ain't got one yet, but it may happen sooner or later. Maybe sooner.
I guess which do you choose? Well, it comes down to maybe a choice of Team George or Team Tommy.
Yeah. Go T.
Go Team. Well, Ray, we appreciate you coming and showing us these radios sort of in a head-to-head competition here. We called it a shootout, but I think it's a friendly competition. No radios were harmed in the process.
Yeah. So no hate mail, please.
Well, thank you guys for allowing me to come here and spend some time with you to show you the radios, play around with them, and who knows what goes from here.
Yeah. So we hope this gave you a good idea of what the differences between these two radios are. Can't go wrong with either one. It's just a matter of personal preference, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm still sticking with the one over here.
Oh, I'll keep this one.